Hi, this is Ivan and welcome to the channel. Today will be the first of 3 videos related to the Moza AB9 force feedback bass. Today's video is going to be just a quick initial impression, and then I want to go in depth on the hardware itself, including the mounting bracket and the power supply. I just want you to get a really good look at the components with some measurements to help you kind of decide how this might fit into your rig. I do want to say that Moza sent this to me free of charge. However, they have no say in the editorial process, so to speak, and they don't get to see this video before you do. The other 2 videos will be, one will be over the software used to get this to work, and then the third video will be more flight experience. So that's kind of the overview of the videos. As far as my initial impression goes, it's very positive so far, and let me tell you why. First of all, I've got a lot of experience with Moza equipment because I use a lot of Moza equipment on my racing sim rig, and my racing sim rig is every bit as intricate as my flight sim. So far, their gear has been very robust. I love the software. There's a lot of parameters to dial in, but you really can't get it dialed in. And I like that they are, so far, at least on the racing side, have been very responsive to the racing community in terms of software updates and things like that. And my hope is that it'll be the same with this piece of gear and on the flight side of simulation. So the other part that I'm excited about is that I feel like force feedback is the area in flight simulation that really, where it's just lacking affordable, quality force feedback, because that is a huge part of flight simulation that we're missing. It is invaluable in racing simulation, and that's been implemented for well over a decade. And so it's about time that we see some good gear in flight sim. There is gear out there. However, a lot of it is very expensive, and by the time you just buy the, if you're getting between either the yoke or this joystick and other things, you could definitely put in a lot of money. What I like about this is the price is going in the right direction. It's coming down, and my initial impression so far is that there really is some quality here. Right now, I believe the pricing is $550 to $600 US, and I've seen it for basically around $600 euro on other sites. So that's, I'm not saying that that's dirt cheap, but it's definitely less than $1,000 or $1,300 or way more. And so it's just good to see the price going in the right direction. I've put several hours into this so far on my flight sim, and I gotta say that it's really changing my attitude towards how I interact with the simulator. I'm not enthusiastic at all about using my non-force feedback yoke, and I find myself wanting to make this work for all aircraft, not just helicopters, jets, side stick aircraft, that I could easily see myself using this instead of a yoke for, say, a Cessna 172. It just really makes it hard to go back to non-force feedback gear. The software, again, makes it very, very detailed to the point where that's both a plus and a minus. There's a lot of parameters. And some of these parameters are very nuanced, and I'll go over that in my review of the software. But again, excited to see how this is going to go, what other updates it's going to get. They've already got 2 joysticks planned. I'm using a Virpil joystick with this particular unit. And so I'm just excited to see how this is going to play out. So now what I want to do is just kind of go over the nature of it, the sizing, and get better close-ups of what this thing is about, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, let's talk about the unit. So this is the Moza AB9. And as you can plainly see, this is a hefty piece of equipment. It's quite large and it's substantial, that is for sure. This is all metal. I'm not appreciating anything that's plastic, at least in this main frame. This is the side. This is the back of it. It's got the name and the serial number. This is the other side, nothing different from left to right. This is the front, and there's a lot going on here. So I'll kind of move it up a little closer here. So what we've got here is the USB connector, and this apparently will act as a hub where these special, I think they're RJ connectors, will connect to other peripherals, and then you will only have to have one USB to the computer. And this is similar to what they do with their racing gear. They'll have a steering wheel base with a similar kind of hub type functionality. Here is the input for the power. There's a brick that comes with this. I'll show you that in just a minute. And this is the on-off button. What we have here are two rails like you see on the aluminum racing rigs, and it uses these style connectors that slide up in here and then give you an opportunity to put a bolt through it. And you can mount this to the bracket, and I'll show you the bracket here in just a second. So this is kind of the different views. Here's a view from the top, and we can see here's where it connects. It's threaded here, and this connector here. And I'll show you how to hook a grip up to it in a bit. I have one of the Virpil grips. I don't have a Moza grip, but I'll show you how it connects. It's actually very simple. This is XY only. There is no Z axis here. My understanding is there's an add-on piece that will add a Z axis. Coincidentally, the Virpil grip that I have has built-in Z axis, and I'll show you that once we get it hooked up. Kind of put it right here, some basic measurements. If I kind of go from front to back, it is approximately 9 inches from the front to the back, or around 23 centimeters. At its widest part here, looks to be right at 6 inches, or approximately 15.5 centimeters. And height-wise, to the top level here, looks to be just under 7, I would say under 7.25, or right around 18.5 centimeters. And that does not include to this level. It's only from here to the ground. That's the dimensions. Also want to show you, while I'm thinking about it, the bottom. And so here you can see it's got several options for different mounting scenarios where you may have different things. Various widths, various sizes. I feel like this will not be super hard to mount. The bracket that they offer is very solid. And again, I'll show you that here in a bit. But this is just some of the options for the bottom. So there's that. It's heavy. This thing is heavy. Put it on the scale here. And let the scale zero out. So in terms of pounds, it's 12.13 pounds, which is about 5.5 kilos. So 5.5 kilograms and 12.13 pounds. So this thing is heavy. It is definitely heavy, and it's wide. And that may be a concern for mounting. Oh, knocking stuff over. may be a concern for mounting, but again, with the included bracket, or not included, it's separate, the bracket is very sturdy, and I'll show you guys how that works here in just a second. Okay, so let's take a look at the bracket. I'm going to move this back here, and then this is the bracket. Also, and I've kind of got it pre-set up with these guys here, and I'll show you how this mounts. This is also very sturdy. It's very thick. It's all metal. And what this will do is mount to the front like this, and then you can mount this to the front of a desk or a frame. There's different options. You can also adjust the height. You just want to be careful that you don't cover up your access down here. Move this out of the way. Again, this device itself is pretty big. This is about 5 3/4 inches, or just at 14.5 centimeters from here to here. It is about 4 inches across, or just under 10 centimeters. And in terms of this height, it looks like it is almost, but not quite, 6 3/4 inches, and it's just under, about a millimeter under 17 centimeters. So again, pretty stout piece of gear. I'll put this over here. Let's take a look at the brick. This is not a small brick. This is pretty heavy duty. And I think the reason for that is because this guy here is basically 9 Newton meters with peaks of 12 Newton meters, and that's pretty substantial. If any of you guys are into racing stuff, I mean, right around 9 to 12 is where you really start, steering wheels really start to be considered kind of high torque. So that's with, you know, 2-wheel. This is 9 constant, you know, ostensibly for single grip. So that's actually a good amount of force. And my experience with it so far is that it's plenty of Newton meters, and I don't even keep it up to the max. So I dial it back. You can get this thing to where it is pretty hard to move. So back to this brick. Again, pretty big. If you're, you know, looking for size, it's around, from the widest point to the widest point, it's just a little, it's around 7.5 inches, right at 19 centimeters. This direction, it is probably 3.25 inches wide and just over 8 centimeters wide, and then I'd say 1 3/4 inches, or a little under 4.5 centimeters tall. And so this is the brick, and it uses standard AC cable, and then it's got this proprietary looking plug, and this is what plugs into the base. One thing that is kind of neat, and I'll show you this real quick, is that when it's plugged in, the logo does light up. So that's kind of neat. Nice little touch. And so that is the basis, or the basics rather, of this gear. And let me just put this out of the way. Bring this guy back. And what I'll do now is I'll show you guys how the bracket's mounted, and then what I want to do is show you how to mount the grip. So to mount, and let me switch to this other view. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this piece here to this, It's not that hard. I recommend that you put these in first. You're going to have to play with it. You've got 1, 2, 3 holes here, 1, 2, 3 holes here. So you just kind of, it depends on your rig and what you're going to do. But you want to get these kind of lined up, straight up and down if you've never used this style of mounting before. And this is going to slide into these rails from the bottom. The top is not open, but the bottom is. So let me see if I can't get this going. And that lined up pretty well. There's always one that doesn't seem to want to do what it's supposed to do. There, and they're in. And so once you get it to where you want it, you tighten these down. Of course, you're using Allen key, and I'm not going to do that right now. And then the idea would be that this would mount to the lip of your gaming desk, or, you know, your frame if you're mounting this to an aluminum frame. And you've got your standard tightening, you know, gizmos here. Now here's something to consider. This is heavy, like we said, and so this is going to be pushing down a lot. Now in my flight rig behind me, I've already set this up, and I've spent a couple hours using it, and it's rock solid. I mean, it really is rock solid. But just make sure that your desk, because this is gonna end up being more. This is, you know, act like a fulcrum, and so this is sticking out. It's going to be like more than 12 pounds. So just consider that. Okay, just consider that. All right, let me take this off. Actually, I guess I can leave it on. And what I want to do now is, so this is a Virpil grip, and I'll put the link or the description in the which one it is in the description below. And this, I got you know, this is what they list on Moza's website as being compatible. And you can see it's got this kind of connector here, and I'm just going to connect it right here, and I'll show you how to do that. But first I am going to remove this. Put that out of the way. And it's easiest to do it when you can see from this side. Makes it the easiest because there's a little piece of plastic. It's hard to see. Can't get it to focus. Let me see if I can get it over here. There's a little plastic nub in the middle. I don't think it's showing up. But what you want to do is it'll line up. And then there's also the little detents here that have to match up. And so all you're going to do is just line it up and then screw this in. And you're good to go. And then you've got and as you can see with this particular grip, it's got a little bit of a Z-axis to it. And so just FYI. And this is kind of what it looks like from the side. And it works. By and large, I've been able to get most of the buttons mapped. There's a couple of things on here that I've not been able to get to work. So for example, I can't seem to get this to register. And this works, the hat works. You can make it as where it'll do like replicate buttons, or you can make it its own axis, which is what I have it set up for now. And I mean, it feels all right. This is very plasticky, but it feels, you know, it feels all right. So that is how you connect the grip, and disconnecting it is real easy. You just unscrew it from there, and it comes right off. It's no problem. So that is basically the physical description of the AB9 Moza force feedback joystick, the base itself, the clamp, and the brick, the power brick, just so you'll have a better idea of how this might integrate into your rig. Just to kind of recap, my initial impression thus far is very positive. I will go far more in depth when I actually do the third video, which will be me actually using it in flight with different aircraft. So I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, please put it in the comments below. And you guys, as always, have a great day.